Hello students, in this video I am going to show you that how you can convert your data into 3D graphs. Suppose I have a data of x and y axis. As you can see here, I am using the Origin software for converting my data into a 3D visualization. So this is the x-axis, which is some parameter like energy in this case, and the y-axis is the intensity. So I can select the data and plot a simple 2D graph, as I have already explained in my another video, and this can be done by simply selecting the data and clicking on any one of these options depending upon which kind of graph you want to draw. So if I click here on simple plain line, I can get a 2D graph of my data, energy on the x-axis and intensity on the y-axis. So you can see the variation of the values along the x and y-axis. But we can also convert this data into a 3D graph for better visualization, and sometimes it is needed. And besides looking better to the eyes, it helps in interpreting the data in many cases. I want to convert it into 3D graph, which I can show you like here. This is a 3D graph of the same data, and I can also convert it into this kind of 3D surface graph depending upon what kind of interpretation you want to do. So let's see how can we convert this 2D data into 3D graph. Let's again come to the data x and y values. So in order to convert it into x, y and z, because it is a requirement of a 3D graph, I have to introduce another column into this data. So what I do, I add another column here like this, and I shift this y-axis here to this third axis. And because I do not have the values for the three axes, I will just put a random value of, let's suppose, 1 here, and this is dragged below so that I have this value, hypothetical value of 1 here. It will not affect our data, and it will just help us to plot a 3D graph, because the requirement of the 3D graph is that we should have the x and y and z axis. So after adding these three axes, make sure that you have x labeled here and y labeled here and z labeled here. If it's not z, you can select it, right click it and set it as z axis. Now you have x, y and z axis, and if you can select the three columns, and you can go to the plot here, and you can plot a 3D XYZ scatter graph, which is like this, which is the same graph as I have shown you here in this graph 2. You need to just format it, and you need to adjust the values of the x-axis and the y-axis to make it look better according to your data. So this is how you will convert the 2D data into 3D graph by adding another third axis into the data. So again, if we review it, this was the original data was x and y axis, and we added a third column, and we assigned a random value here, and we got a plot like this. We got a plot of the data like this, and you can now adjust the x-axis and the y-axis values so that your graph looks better. After formatting, you will have this kind of graph, or you can have different kind of coloration and formatting of the x and y axis as you like. But you can also convert this your data into 3D surface kind of graph for better visualization. And how it can be done, it's very simple. You need to have your data like this. Let's suppose you have the x and y data only, and this is set as y-axis. So this you have the x and y-axis, and you don't need a third axis here. In this case, you need to select your x and y data and go to plot, and we have here 3D bars, and you can select this or 3D scatter, you can select this or this one to have a graph. Again, you will need to adjust your y-axis and x-axis values to make it look better, and you can have multiple other formatting option for better visualization of your graph. I have made some changes, and I have converted my this kind of looking graph into, so you can edit your format your 3D graph according to your color choice. Uh, the way it looks good. I have added this border color and this graph color by clicking on this graph. If you click here, you can select the color of your background graph by clicking here, whatever color you want to select from here, or by defining the color. Similarly, you can also select the border style, which I have selected the blackout, but you can also have different kind of styles. Like if you select shadow, you can have this kind of graph, or if you want dark marble, you can have this kind of graph. So you can have different choice of color, whatever suits your data and your representation. You can choose different kind of color, and this way you can make your 3D graph look better as per your choice. So this is how I can format my data. Or I think this one looks better, so I might select this one and the blackout. And also you can rearrange the values of the scales here. Similarly, you can also do this kind of editing for other graphs. For this kind of graph, by clicking here, and you can choose the color of the graph if you want to. So you can select light color or dark color like this one, or you can select the border style. Let's suppose I select blackout and I click apply, and it's like that. Or if you want, you can keep it the way it is. So it depends on your color choice. So you can do editing to make it look better for a better visualization. So thank you.